Welcome back to the 0 to 7 podcast, where each week we talk about our business decisions and strategies to reach our goal of going from 0 to 7 figures of income in just 1 year. A couple of cleaners, a couple of employees call in this week, incredibly last minute.
Yep.
So it was kind of hectic.
And it wasn't actually them trying to call in. They were legit reasons.
Yeah. No.
So
they were all legit. It's just.
They were worked out. Well, we worked with it.
But so it was all last minute and all real hard.
So what do we? Yeah, we got it all taken care of.
Because I mean, you spent almost at least one full day where you didn't even come to the office. You were just cleaning the whole time, and another day where you're gone for all but maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
So when shit hits the fan, Brad goes out and cleans.
Always
more
have a backup,
shit.
guys. Always have a backup. Gotta have a backup.
Gotta make sure that we're sticking to our appointments.
Yep.
So
for bad part is when you have someone call in from both businesses, then you gotta do both things the same day.
Yep.
We actually almost had that.
Oh boy.
Gotta take care of though. Always have backup.
Yeah, but
so backup
this week, we thought we would have a little bit of a interesting segment this week. I actually, because we've had some shifting around of schedules and have people going out to cover one thing, and so something else has to get covered. I have to go out and quote a client today.
Yep.
And so I don't actually know what our process is for quoting yet. So we thought it'd be a nice opportunity to kill two birds with one stone and train me live on the podcast. And so you guys can hear a little bit about what that process is like from like a customer service focus. So what do I do? Help.
So first off, you figure out where the address is and you make sure they're early.
And make sure they're early. Yeah.
So it's not just the basic.
Often overlooked.
But then you can drive around the property because sometimes you might just show up to the office and you might just see one apartment complex right here, but there's like 20 behind it. So I always get there early, drive around a little bit, see what the place looks like, and then you should have an idea when you get there. Also, Google it beforehand, just kind of get an idea what their business is. Make sure you know everything, like what you're going into. But then
got to create your flight plan pretty much.
Yeah. So not just getting there early, actually getting there early. But anyways, once you get there, find the person you're talking to, and then we got to go figure out what they want. Like we got to figure out what they want, and then we want them to show us all of their property they want cleaned. But pretty much just get the general idea of what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's the idea, and then figure out how often they want it, and then so on from there. So, but that's kind of general idea. We want to get a little more detailed on it. So things we want to look at when we get there. So first off, you want to look in, once you walk in, you want to start just looking at all the things you see dirty. So then you can figure out what happened with the last cleaner, why they want somebody new. What is it, just somebody on staff and they're trying to switch to having a cleaning company do it, so on from there. Just kind of figure out the scenario.
Kind of figuring out what that history is of why, what got this customer to this point that they want to change their cleaning strategy, so that once they start using us, they don't try to change their cleaning strategy from us.
Yeah. So figure out their pain points.
Yeah.
Like some of them might be like they're not reliable on showing up and they never show up, or is it they
like those one people that didn't show up for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and now we got that one. So our guarantee of making sure we're going to be there or your money back. So, but we got that, and then what else do we look at? So looking at all the places, figuring out exactly what they want, figure out how often do they want it, and then. Do they supply cleaning stuff? Do they have everything they want? Everyone's completely different. It's like some of them have specific things they want you to use. Some of them have things that we can or can't do. So we just got to figure out what those are, and then we can go from there. And then also we have to figure out how long it's going to take to do each thing. And that's kind of hard. That's kind of hard to figure out unless you've actually went and cleaned the place, figure out how long it's going to take. So... but once you get the general idea of the space, how big it is, how often they want it, like what things they want, like do they just want the trash taken out? If that's all they want, it's going to be a whole lot less. If they want it like actually cleaned to make it look good for their customers, then it'll be a little different. So I always just base on like figure out how many bathrooms and then how many offices, like the if there's a kitchen If there's bathrooms, how many bathrooms there are, because those are the parts that are actually going to kind of take the longest, other than just the general clean the floor,
The high
clean it,
detail
and all the other
areas.
stuff.
Yeah.
So those are the things that are probably going to be like figure out how many kitchens there is. If there's just one break room, that's most of the time most of the time they all have one break room. They might have 2 bathrooms. Those are kind of the common ones. The one you're going to, I think, probably has a basic break room, and then a couple of offices, and then a couple of bathrooms. But they also are a big place with lots of other things in the back room. And you got to figure out, are you going to clean that too? Or
Right.
is that the company doing that? So I'll base it off of that. So realistically, you want to come down to what things you want clean and how long it's going to take. That's literally all we need to figure out while we're there. Oh, and then what time? What time do they want us there?
Oh, right.
So,
Is it time constricted? Like, do we have to show up while they're there, or is it overnight, or all that kind of stuff? Do you now? When I worked in car sales, we would do this thing when we would do a walk around of the trade-in, right? The car that they were trading in. We'd go around. We wouldn't say anything, but we would touch every single like scratch, dent, or mark. We wouldn't say anything, but we'd go around with the customer and we'd just touch each individual point. So kind of like this walkthrough is just touching each individual thing that the last company missed.
I gotcha. Yeah. It really depends on what the situation is.
Mhm.
If it's literally just making sure you show up on time, it don't care
Yeah.
what you're going to do.
Right.
As long as you show up, then they're all set. So it really
Yep.
depends on what thing it is.
Well, and that's
what they're
kind of
looking for.
that's kind of the goal of the walkthrough is, right? Figure out what touch points are hurting them the most right now.
Uh-huh.
And then just making sure that we're strategizing specifically to what it is that they're saying. Whether it was like you said, the scheduling, they just needed them to show up.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We just in our marketing, not our marketing, our quote, right? We're touching. We're gonna show up, or else you get it free.
Yeah. So
Or we're just touching on those kind of things. Cool.
And then you have to. So once you figure out all the things that they want, you want to take note of that, and you also want to take. And then I always ask them, what is one thing your last cleaner, you wish they did, and it doesn't matter what that is, as long as it fits within our realm of what things we can do. I add that on the quote. Like that's just I'm going to put that on there. So figure out the one thing they wish they did, and that's what we're going to do. Because then obviously they're going to see we notice that, and I mean, obviously, if that's the one thing they wanted, let's add it on there.
Let's do it.
And then they're like, boom, that's awesome. So that's kind of one little thing I always add in there that not really many people do. So, but figure out the one thing they'll do and then add that on. But since you mentioned touching all the things, I think now that you say that, I realize on some of the quotes I've done, a lot, like some of the things, their biggest pain point was the details.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like the place was already clean.
Mm-hmm.
So, what it mattered was they just look at the small details, and the small details on one place might be completely different for the same exact industry at a different place, and they're completely different. People cleaning them in completely different standards of cleaning. So, it really depends on each one of them. So figure out what they want, figure out the frequency, and then that one thing that the other one didn't do that you wish they did.
Mm-hmm. That helps build value.
Yeah.
And so what we don't do, is there more that you want to add to that,
No,
or
I think
can we
that's
move
pretty
on
much-
to the next part?
I think
Really,
that's pretty much right now.
the next part is then we have to quote them.
Yeah.
Which happens, we don't do it in person, of course. Like we come back, we build out the quote, we figure out what we're going to charge. And there's kind of there's always this draw, especially as a new business. Once you're an established business and you kind of like have become like a force in the industry or in your local like area, then you can start to like, you feel confident in your pricing because you've got this history to it. But when you're first starting out, there's just always this draw to the bottom.
Yeah.
You always are like, what if they don't accept it at that price and I missed it out by $100? And so you just knock $100 off, or you just knock some money off. Like my personal experience with that is like, as a wedding videographer, when you first start out, you're just like, whatever, I'll just, do this wedding video for $1,000. And you give them like all of this stuff. Or I even did this with a commercial client where I think I quoted them, I got scared and quoted them like $1,300 for 4 videos 4 live event videos. And I want to say like after that, when I developed my pricing, like if I,
You're like, not doing that again.
if I went back to it, I should have charged them probably well over $4,500.
Yeah. You're like,
Even for my
wow.
skill level at that time. Like I was like, ugh. And I mean, I stayed with that client for a while, but it was just that draw to the bottom of like just being concerned, like, oh, I just want to get this client, and just kind of getting wrapped up in that. So talk a little bit about kind of like that draw that we've been having, even though, you know, with Windows still, you know, where this large business has been around for a long time and have a lot of confidence in, but then with this new business, how it's like completely different. So talk about that.
So we, with the other business, we actually started out, and I always reference, we had this one person that charged like less than $70 to go do all the photo shoots, and we charged $200.
Mm-hmm.
It was over double the price. But what we did is we stuck with it. We lost out a lot of them at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but now that person got so busy at that $70 that they couldn't do anything.
It just wasn't worth it to keep going.
Yeah. And they couldn't hire anybody because no one would work for them because the price was so low that they didn't have any profit
headroom
to pay them to then for them to want to work. So now we have so many of the, like, majority of those clients that worked for them now work for us or work with us. And we charge double the price. So just sticking out and like, yes, you might not get it right at the beginning. But just sticking with your price. And yes, you're going to have to go through a couple, but once you get a couple and then they see that you have like more value than the other ones, once they see that all of a sudden you have like, wait, I get this, and this. Oh, I see. I understand the price. So you just have to present that to them. If you present that extra value to the person you're trying to quote, and like they see that extra value, then all of a sudden they're like, now the price makes sense. And they're like, let's go for it.
So instead of lowering the price, you like to offer
more value.
Yep. So try to stay whatever price that you think the initial, like you add it up and then you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to pay that much. Now, then instead of, okay, maybe I should lower the price, then instead you're saying increase the value of that service or that product so that that price makes more sense.
Yep.
And then you can keep going on that kind of path. Now, thinking about that, do you think you would have changed anything about the Lime Green pricing strategy? I know we did the early bird special, which kind of goes against that. Yeah. Talk about that.
Well, we did, that one was a little different model when we did that because our whole entire purpose was we really weren't sure what to expect. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like we used that to, of course, pay for like the first month of everything we needed. And then
just cover expenses.
So we got that. So then we really didn't need to use our own money for it. And then we also had a kind of a trial with our cleaners to figure out what we actually, cause we didn't know what we were doing.
A bunch of
we just
cheap
figured
clients
it out.
so we can figure out what we should be charging.
And like you guys have, like, beginning of this, we've kind of learned all that. Like you saw us learning all that, and now we know all that. Now, so by using all that, we got a whole bunch of people fast. We learned really fast, figured out exactly what we need to do. And then we went from there. So now, like, once we got to like getting the commercial stuff, we've figured that out. We figured out like, oh, so once we got our first one, we could quote them right away and knew what to do, and just was perfect. But then we knew how to clean, do all the other stuff.
I mean, and it's wild to me because like we talk about how figuring that out in the beginning, we talk about the beginning. The beginning was like
a couple months ago,
2 months ago. It was not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're on the 18th right now of March, and we started January 1st. So like literally 2 months ago, our only clients were the early bird people that we still were figuring out. Like it's still wild to
figure
me
out the industry,
how much has changed. Yeah. Even week to week.
Yeah.
I think this podcast is helpful, at least to like make us really think about how much we've learned from week to week too, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So don't lower the price, increase the value.
Yep. Increase the value.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Cause you can always, cause once people see that, then they're going to be like, oh, wait, you're going to always be here every single time? Like, no matter what? Like, that's the biggest thing I cared about.
Yeah. And that didn't cost us anything.
Yeah. We just
I mean,
guaranteed
if
them.
it only
That's what we're
costs
gonna
us
do.
money if we mess up, which
Yeah.
if we mess up, it's going to cost us money one way or another anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Like, since we all knew that, like, being on time and being there no matter what
mhm.
has always been what we've done with the other business. Like, we don't just call somebody and say, hey,
Hey, we can't
just
make it.
can't
Sorry
make
about
it.
that.
We're just, yeah.
No. So somebody's like, oh, I can't make that shoot. Brad flies across the country and
Yes.
takes
I've
the
done that.
photos.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion too.
Yeah. One time, since we're on it, speaking of timing, to make sure we're always there,
Yeah.
I get up, I was up at 4 or 5. It might have been 4 that day. And I look at my phone and I go, crap, we're not going to be able to cover that one that's at 10 o'clock or something, or it's like 1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at my phone. I found a Delta flight to Savannah, Georgia. And I think I was on the plane by 6 or 7 that morning. And
I remember that too because I showed up and I was like, oh, where's Brad? And he's like, oh, he's in Georgia. He's where?
So I got the flight. I went down there and I actually, I got everything taken care of. So I think it even got worse. I got down there and I didn't have the lens I needed. No, that was a different scenario because
That was a different one. Yeah.
I went and bought one at the store
Yeah.
to make sure I had this correct stuff. But I got down there everything taken care of, and then turned around and flew back that afternoon and still got everything taken care of. Obviously, I told the client later like what the scenario was, and they worked with us for a long time. But
Right. They
I
had
was
no
like,
idea.
I don't care. We'll be there.
They just booked it.
We'll be
And
there.
somebody showed up and took pictures, and they got pictures the next day.
Yeah.
If we didn't say anything, they would have been none the wiser.
So we just it's taken care of.
Yep.
If you schedule us, expect to be taken care of.
Yeah. Customer service. I mean, that's kind of like,
Yeah.
that's like the whole purpose of
It's
it is if you can get that right, if you can get like the customer's experience right,
Yeah.
then
That's like
you're golden.
every industry. Like if you look at a lot of the biggest problems, it's literally that. All the ones like the smaller business, like the bigger businesses have figured it out. But the kind of the ones starting up and stuff like that, like if you
Mhm.
haven't figured that out, like you should just focus on figuring that out.
Mhm.
If you figure that out, all of a sudden you can do anything pretty much. Like when you look at any industry, you're like the biggest problem, they never picked up the phone. Like this was back when I used to flight instruct, when I was talking to the owner of the business, he was like, yeah, the biggest things are people don't answer the phone. That was like 10 years ago.
Mhm.
He's like, we're just gonna make sure we pick up the phone. Like that was it.
That's all we're gonna do.
Like
Yeah.
we're gonna make sure we pick up the phone. And now it's one of the biggest ones in Michigan now. So
Which kind of ties it back into that pricing strategy we were talking about. Like, keep your prices high so that you can pay good people enough to have good customer service. So they're not like, like freaking out about it. It's just like, it's all about increasing that value. And then that makes it the price worth it.
yeah.
Because I always tell people, like, when I'm flying, my wife always does this where she's like, look, you can get this flight on Spirit for like $5. I was like, I don't want it. I would rather pay Delta $200 because it's worth it. Delta builds that, kind of experience of you just show up to the airport and you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
With Spirit, you just showing up to the airport and trying to figure out how to avoid fees. If you look the wrong way, Spirit's hitting you with a fee.
Yeah. By the time you get done with it, you're actually paid over like 3 more than what you paid for Delta.
That's it.
But you didn't notice.
Yes, we didn't notice because instead you had 3 flight cancellations in 2 hours. But yeah. All about building that value. Marketing wise, we haven't done a whole lot this week. The 2 things we've done, we've changed our strategy for commercial clients. Our salesperson that like kind of handles a lot of the like phone calls specifically about getting new clients rather than like customer service phone calls. She's like focusing more on actually calling people. And there's always this kind of like thought of, cold calling sucks. It's not fun. And it's like people hang up on you all the time.
Yeah.
But we've just found like insane success just cold calling random businesses. And just by aspect of like somebody's talking to them on the phone, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is different.
All right. This is a business that I don't I can actually talk to them.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been a whole, like, we weren't expecting it to do as crazy with cold
No,
calling,
we're
but
just
all of a
like, yeah,
sudden
we'll
it's
just
been-
try it, see what happens.
Yeah, she's been pulling off like cray.
I mean, that's why we've had so many
She did the
walkthroughs.
yesterday. She did just started walking into the businesses, and she's like, "Yeah, I just got a random walkthrough." I was like, "Yeah, you're there," but they're just like, "Oh yeah, go do this, do that," and they say, "Yeah, we've been looking for somebody." It was like perfect.
Here I am.
I've arrived.
I have arrived. Oh,
Yeah, but
and
commercial. Since you're speaking about the commercial stuff, we've kind of figured that out for. We've been doing pretty well at figuring out the commercial walkthrough. We consistently got them daily now,
yeah, it's
like 2 today.
it's getting scary.
Yeah.
Because Brad comes in yesterday and he's like, Dean, I just am quoting somebody for, we're going to have to clean 260 properties in 10 days. I'm like, you what? You want to do what now? Oh, and there's just, it seems like every single day we're coming across like a lot
Yeah.
of just crazy. All right, I guess we're full send.
We're committed.
We are committed.
Commit first, figure the rest out later.
Speaking of, going after commercial clients, we're trying this new strategy of I rip on LinkedIn a lot, especially like, with all of our, I want to say with like the creative industry, we avoid LinkedIn like the plague.
Yeah.
It's just every time I log into it, I'm like, this is stressful. I don't like this.
Yeah.
But what we're finding is it is a great way to get connected with the right kinds of people
Yeah.
that you need to talk to. And so we kind of have this just like process of going in and inviting people of like a certain industry because
Yep.
like you can use the filter tool. You can like look in for specific kinds of people, just connect them. And then we're just kind of doing this where we connect with them like, hey, we'd love to connect. And then after that, then we send them a message saying, hey, thanks for connecting. How's office life? And then we can kind of separate out like how people respond. Oh, I don't work in an office. Okay,
Perfect.
cool. And then they never get another message. Oh, it's going great. Just hired another person. Great. That is a growth-minded office. Boy, can we help you. Obviously not jumping into it right away,
Yeah.
but opening that door to kind of discovering who are the kinds of people that are, working in offices. So like this week we're kind of focusing on people in like medical facilities, like doctor's offices and outpatient type things where just people that have physical space that gets used often and needs cleaned often.
Pretty much daily.
Daily. I mean, yeah, you'd probably be upset if you went into a doctor's office and it wasn't cleaned that day.
Yeah. If it was 2 weeks later.
That'd be pretty bad. Like those people that didn't show up for 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, so it's kind of marked a strategy shift. We no longer go after residential nearly as hard as we are with commercial. Yelp is kind of just like passive residential.
It's like, well, that's what the one I quoted yesterday. That's where it came from. Yelp. So it's commercial. Like it's pretty much.
Oh, yeah, it's going towards commercial as well,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like that's our primary source of residential cleaning clients.
Yeah.
We don't really have another good source for that because nothing else works as well.
Yeah.
Social media, we ran a social media ad that we had 360. It was like 360 clicks and not a single conversion of like actually purchasing.
Yeah.
And we A/B tested the crap out of it.
We changed stuff. We're like, Dean, if we get them to there, this part's working, but this part's not working.
Okay, so they're getting to this part, but they're not going beyond that. Okay, well, let's change this part to see if they'll go beyond it. Okay, that's not working. All right, so then our landing page wasn't working, and so I cut the landing page out, and we're like, okay, we'll just turn it into direct call. It said that it had like 7 calls, but not a single one actually like finished calling. Yeah, that's what our phone did. And yeah, Yelp is just so good at just like, you just set it up, you put money in it, and money comes out. It's the marketing machine.
It's working good.
Once you
Especially
get
for
it
this
optimized.
industry. This industry,
Yes.
just keep with it.
Yeah. So
Turn it on.
that's cool.
Add money come back.
Money come back. Speaking of money come back, what money came back?
Ooh, we got 17,500.
17,500.
Yep.
Did you happen to look at our recurrence?
I
Recurring.
didn't. I think it was either 67 or 68. I think it was 68 earlier this week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it was 67 last week when we talked about it on the podcast. So we're creeping up.
Yeah, because a lot of since the commercial ones are actually just are recurring,
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that's kind of I think is adding up a lot of the recurring, other than all the recurring residential we have. So that's it's going in the right direction.
It's going the right direction, and it's so much better now that we don't have a month.
Yeah,
the month is just gone, so we're
It's
ahead.
in April.
We're not ahead. We're still a little bit behind, but at least we're really close.
Yeah.
So that's look at the
That's
time
it.
here. That's about all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week. What is it? What week is this? This is 11.
I think it's 11.
This is week 11.
Scared guys.
52 is coming up quick.
We're a fifth of the way
We're
there.
getting there. But thank you so much for tuning into week 11 of the 0 to 7 podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you're subscribed on whatever platform you're listening to, whether that's YouTube or Spotify or whatever. I don't know where else people listen to podcasts. I just Spotify my life.
All of the above.
All of the above. If you really like this podcast, please feel free to give us a 5-star rating. We very much appreciate it. And if you want some more content, feel free to join us on our 0 to 7 Figure Entrepreneur Facebook group. Links will be in the description. And we'd love to talk to you there and ask if you got some questions. We'd love to answer them. So awesome. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.